HarperCollins presents Into the Fire by G.D. Wright, read by John Hopkins. Content warning. Into the Fire, although fictional, tackles some events and issues that some may find distressing. If you'd like to know what these events and issues are, please stay in this chapter for a 5-second pause. Otherwise, do skip on, and bear in mind that the content warning will contain spoilers. This novel contains themes that some may find upsetting, including house fire, murder, abandonment, child death and bereavement, mental illness, and child sexual abuse and violence. According to most industry standards, there are 4 stages of a fire. 1. Ignition. 2. Growth. 3. Fully developed. 4. Decay. The National Fire Protection Association. Prologue. A full moon it may have been, but it didn't stand a chance of penetrating the canopy of blue lights that shimmered and bounced around the neighborhood. D.S. Wilmot stood sentry on the pavement at the front of the house, watching, waiting, and breathing it all in. It was a street much like any other. Residential housing with small driveways or gardens at the front of each home. But this street would forever be tarnished now by what had happened here. Death's aroma permeated all around her. It clung to her skin, seeping into her pores and coursing through her veins. She'd smelt it before, too many times to remember, but this was different. This one would endure in the deepest, darkest recesses of her mind. A symphony of sounds filled her ears. The distant sirens as further reinforcements were assembled. The low, almost excitable murmurs of those who were gathering to watch, being held at bay by a handful of cops who were doing their level best to keep the scene sterile. The click, click, click of camera phones, as everyone sought to snatch their own morbid snapshot of everything that was happening, flashes breaking through the darkness. And her colleagues' voices, on edge, as orders were barked, and the airwaves were flooded with a deluge of jigsaw pieces that, as yet, were failing to come together as a completed puzzle. No chance of life. 1 in custody. An ambulance was in front of her, half on the pavement. The blue lights that twinkled from its roof complemented those of the police cars that had been abandoned all around it, and as its crew returned to their vehicle, with their faces drooped low, D.S. Wilmot nodded at them. It was a sympathetic smile that ran halfway up her cheeks, but it wasn't returned. Shock, she guessed. It was understandable. The crowds grew as the bigwigs with pips and crowns on their shoulders began to arrive, turfed out from their beds as the balloon went up. Police cordons were established, an inner one close to the house, and an outer one further down the road, which the onlookers were shepherded towards. Scene logs were filled out, as uniformed officers tried to work out who had been where and at what time. Every movement needed to be logged, every action accounted for. And for whatever SIO it was who was going to be in charge of that mess, a policy book was instigated. D.S. Wilmot looked on from the sidelines. She'd watched it all unravel as the weeks had passed by, but as the chill of the late autumn night pierced through both her jacket and shirt, she shivered, partly from the icy air that froze her bones, but mostly from her internal reflections. She hadn't seen this coming, that's for sure. Hours passed by, the dead of night giving way as the light of a new day dawned overhead. Camera crews turned up en masse to complement the throngs of locals who had braved the hours of darkness to be in amongst it all. The media caravan had not long gone from Beechbrook, not long put what they thought had been the finishing touches to the story that had gripped them all, and yet there they were, back in town once more. As the sun breached the horizon and sent early shards of light in every direction, there was a gentle buzz in the air. This was a new chapter. Hell, it was a whole new story, and it was going to run and run. Gently, steady, easy does it. Words uttered with clarity by an all-seeing and all-knowing undertaker. A metallic
Sample complete. Ready to continue?